It used to stand where I used to cut hair. Can you imagine when I was cutting people's hair, if I said to them, one day, all this will be torn down and there'll be a statue of me wearing fishnets. I was contemplating whether I should get a proper job or stay as an actor. I said to Jim Sharman, I'm writing a little musical which might amuse you.
Called They Came from Denton High.
I basically suggested to Richard on the simple principle that it's a rock and roll horror show, why don't we just call it what it is?
I mean, it all boiled down to the comments I saw under the YouTube clip of I'm Going Home. They were so incredibly poignant and heartfelt. I felt extremely compelled to not only tell the story for the Rocky fans that already exist and that we know about, but for the ones who've been touched on a very deep personal level. And then also the opportunity to celebrate my father's music as well was also very important. And then as it starts to develop, you start to bring in the midnight screenings, the effect on the LGBTQ community, and other people who've been affected by it, like Trixie Mattel and Jack Black. Then it starts to become something very rich, more than just the origin story of Rocky. Because it's kind of boring, I guess, right, is the why it wasn't in there, because it would just pop in and out of my life at different times, at conventions or anniversaries or a new stage play. And while there are somewhat interesting aspects of that, it was quite mundane for the most part. I remember standing in the kitchen and my dad was speaking to him on the phone. He got off the phone, he goes, "Oh, I think the movie's doing quite well." And I said to him, "Oh, I thought you said it was a flop." He goes, "Oh no, seems like people are watching it at midnight." And then we just went about our day and got a cheeseburger or whatever. And so it was just very normal family life, but interspersed with these kind of moments of Rocky throughout it. Not to dismiss my experience of Rocky over the years, but it was just something that was kind of there in the background. And I don't know that we have so much to cram in. I don't think anyone really wants to hear that it popped in and out of my life, for 5 minutes every time. There's other things to focus on, basically. That's not quite right. He didn't fully kind of admit to himself that he was 30 or felt 30% female and feels 30% female and 70% male until 30 years after Rocky made its debut, which is ironic because obviously he's made something that speaks to gender fluidity subtly. In a way, you might not think it's subtle, but there's no message being banged over your head. You should feel this way or you should feel that way, and so it was ironic that it took him that long. But everyone's journey it happens at different moments. My dad and my mother broke up because they didn't get along, not really because he was struggling with his gender at that point. He didn't even understand himself at that point. It was the reason they broke up is not to do with that. We're not no, because he talked about Chrissy, his childhood friend, not childhood, but his early friend from London. Who was the girlfriend of Mick Jagger and the sister of Jean Shrimpton, the supermodel. She had the conversation with him, like, why doesn't my wife understand? And that was his second wife, Jane. And that might have been a factor in it, but also I just don't think they were getting along. He's now met a wonderful person called Sabrina, who really adores him and loves him and accepts him for who he is. And so to have that happen later on in his life for him has been really rewarding, not just for him but for us as well, to see him happy and appreciated and loved. And so, yeah, it's the other marriages, I couldn't speak to them because I wasn't in them. But yeah, I think it was just, you know, marriages end, right? So I don't know how much a part of his journey was a result of them not working out.
We opened and it was a phenomenal success. Everyone just went nuts.
From the beginning, I just envisioned it as a film.
Not having money added to the edginess.
It was very hard work.
We completed the film.
And it flopped.
It was like somebody had let all the air out of a balloon.
They suggested, why don't we run the film at midnight?
We want Rocky! We want Rocky!
Bam. Everybody was amazed at that kind of success.
It's the snowball effect, which goes from shout-outs,
Buy an umbrella, you cheap.
costumes, to props.
Toilet paper, rice.
It was like a rock concert.
Touchy, 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 touch me. I wanna be dirty.
Funny because we've had people who have watched it who've had nothing to do with Rocky Horror, never really seen it. Maybe they saw it once in the early 80s and never kind of tuned into it again. And so to be able to tell the story in a kind of upbeat and kind of fairly fast-paced way, that was really key for us. Like it's 90 minutes long. There's so much to cram in. We don't want it to feel rushed. We definitely don't want it to feel slow. So getting everything there was always like a metronome in my. Even now, I'm feeling the pace that I want of the documentary. It's like 120, 130 BPM, something like that. That's the feeling that I wanted in the documentary, so that you didn't, you know, start looking at your phone or doing whatever we do. We get so distracted these days. I wanted to get people's attention from the beginning and keep it throughout. And being on the festival circuit with it, it really feels like we achieved that, because there's the response from the audiences with all the laughing and the cheering and the crying. Like, I couldn't have asked for anything better, basically. I think you're quite right. I think, you know, and there were moments where I was like wanting to go a bit deeper, maybe not getting quite what I want, but then when we got all the footage together, we were like, yeah, actually we do have enough moments here. If we just place them in the right moment, with the right archival supporting them, with the comments from Chrissy, we can really start to give people that side of himself that they haven't seen. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say we were lucky to get that, because we were looking for that, but we were very pleased that we found it. In fact, it was a tremendous relief at one point. We were like, actually, we really need him to speak like this at this point. And then when we found that stuff through all the footage, we're like, oh my God, it was a real relief, you know, because we didn't have to fly to New Zealand for a third time. So yeah, it was a very good question. But I think overall we managed. There's 3 key scenes with him in it, and those are placed very strategically to show that side of himself.
I mean, you would hope at this point in world history that something like Rocky would be a relic. You have to turn to your child and explain. People used to be really afraid of someone professing that they are somewhere between two genders.
That point when you're trying to figure things out, you could go to some place where there are a lot of people that are trying to figure that out. You can be there and you can be accepted for who you are.
The truth of the matter is, of course, we all are freaks, aren't we? God made us in different ways, thankfully.